Go.
So we are here with Chester and Mike from Linkin Park.
I have to admit, I am so loopy right now. I almost intentionally made cursed right over your intro.
Don't
like
do
as soon
that.
as he said 3, 2, 1, go, I almost just went bonkers just to screw with
What
you
kind of things are
guys.
you going to do? Just give me a second of it.
Just extreme profanity until I ran out.
Whoa. This is pretty
That would
watershed.
have been awesome.
I know.
I want
You
that.
know how crazy I would.
That would be
like
so
people would be
cool.
tuning in, they'd be like, "Yo."
Let's save that till the end.
Yeah, so now he's just going to start doing...
Yeah, I don't know. I don't want to lead with curse words. That's
No.
not my
Yeah,
we're
do
gonna-
that.
style.
Do that
We're
when we
gonna
ask
finish
really
with that
outrageous
shit.
questions.
That's not my
and then you
style.
can...
Nice boots, by the way.
Thank you very much.
Nice boots.
They're a bit battered, but I love them dearly.
That's why they're nice.
That's why they're
Exactly.
dope,
They're
yeah.
very special to me. So, we are here with
We're
you two
here.
guys. Fans, ask questions below, and they'll come through. But first of all, we're in London.
Under the chair?
Just under us here right now, under the building. There
We
are
have
tiny
fans
objects
below
in-
us answering questions. They're under our seats.
I think they're texting me directly.
No,
This is the
texting me.
difficulty of having a live video, is that people are actually like texting
They're
you.
watching right now.
Yeah.
They're interested. But first off, how long have you been in London for?
1,000 years.
Whoa.
3 days maybe?
Okay, and you did a little acoustic session yesterday?
Yeah.
How did that go down?
It's good.
It was great.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was
fun.
really fun.
We've been playing like new and old stuff. Like our new music was written, like it started with concepts and lyrics first over like basically very stripped down chords. So it's like basically piano and vocal, or guitar and vocal is the way that most of the songs started. So all the new stuff is very it sounds great in that format.
Yeah.
And then we also like since we were doing that, we were like, well, we can play there's a whole bunch of the old stuff too that we can play that way.
Okay.
Like I guess when usually like when the band comes out to do performances and promo stuff and whatever, it's like the whole band has to be there.
Yeah.
And this time we realized, the new
I'm
stuff
like,
is
dude, I'm cool doing it by
easy.
myself. You want to come with me, Mike?
Yeah, it's basically like, it sounds good, but just like two
You guys
of
can
us.
take a break from you. You'll get a little
Yeah,
your own
they owe
time.
us one. They owe us a big one.
So let's go over to some fan questions. Question number 1: will Chester still be screaming on the new record?
Chester might be screaming after the new record.
Oh,
If the
really?
question is, am I screaming? Do I scream on this record? The answer is no.
Not yeah.
There are some moments where I kind of get it. Kind of get
He
it a
goes
little
in
bit.
there
I
and
get
gets
after it a
a
little
He
bit.
gets
Okay.
after it.
I get after it. But
Not screaming for the sake of screaming.
there's no 18-minute long scream begging God to put me out of my misery.
Okay.
There's none of that.
Yeah.
So
Oh, look what showed up, Chester.
Ta-da!
As- almost like a reward for that answer. Very nice answer, Chester. Here's a coffee.
nectar.
Next question. You've just announced a UK tour.
One thing I will say about the Scream thing,
Yeah.
though, just because I do remind you,
Pulling good.
we do have songs in the Linkin Park catalog that have screaming in them, and you can listen
And I
to those.
will also yes.
And when we play shows, we perform those songs.
Here's the thing.
So
We
you can hear us
will-
through this.
We will be performing songs with screaming in it.
Yeah. In fact, in
At
July,
the concerts.
in July we'll be playing back here in England, and we will play those songs.
We'll be screaming
at
at
those
you.
shows. So
I'll
if
be
you want
screaming,
to be
yeah.
screamed at, then
Want me to
come
yell
to
at
those
you?
shows.
Come to the
So
show.
your screaming days aren't over.
We will also
No, of
sing,
course not.
We will also sing at them
That's nice.
and to them.
Lovely.
Screaming is what I call it.
So, in relation to the live shows coming up, in this country, probably the same in the States as well, ticket touting is a big issue. Do you guys have anything in place to prevent this?
No, because I am the one doing that.
It's
I
you.
buy all the tickets
And you're
to
outside
everybody.
the show?
No, I do it. I have bots
Oh, okay.
and I have algorithms. And
Here's the thing, like I was, years ago, I was getting a lot of fans at our meet and greets were coming up and being like, "Why are your tickets so expensive? Like, it's not cool." Like, and I was like, "Huh." So I actually went to management and I was like, "Hey, like,
Why
what,
not?
like, how expensive are our tickets?" And I heard like, okay, the ticket's like $65 or $75 or whatever. And I was like, oh, okay, like that's not cheap, but it's like, that's kind of like that's kind of like the average cost of a ticket. Like that's what I pay when I go to see shows. And then I was like, okay, so dug a little deeper, And I got online and I was like, I'm going to buy a ticket to the next Linkin Park show. I get on there. Get on like whatever the ticket. I'm not going to say the name of the thing, but it was a place to buy tickets. $250. I was like, wait a second, that's not right. Like that's got to be like a special spot. Like, do I get like a VIP meet and greet pass or like
in your pocket for the
like
show.
a golden ticket, with love from the band or something? And I was like, no, that's like a standard spot. And I was like, wait a second. So I looked even further, and it was like $400, $350, and I was like, that's what they're talking about, and that's exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah.
People are buying all the tickets up. There aren't any left for sale because it's sold out, and that's because someone has, or people, or some organization has purchased a bunch of tickets and are now reselling the tickets at like 3 or 4 times their value. And my personal opinion on that is like, dude, that's just like, that's a dick move. Like that's a big time dick move, because a lot of people, like, they're already having a hard time buying tickets at like whatever the normal price is, or they're saving up for that. And you know, some people don't buy tickets when they come out right out on sale because they don't have the money. You know, they might need to wait for a little while. So yeah, like that's just lame. And I know.
So don't be a dick.
Don't be a dick. If you're that
life
person,
advice.
stop being a jerk face. And also, I think it is important that there are maybe this issue might be approached from like a legal standpoint of like.
I think that's what they're saying, though. I think there's like a thing. There's
And
like a
in this
news
country,
thing going
legal
on.
measures are being taken to
Well,
Well,
I
that's
think-
good.
Yeah.
We actually, I don't think we're up to speed on what all that is.
Okay.
But whatever it is, it sounds
You're
like.
on side.
Go ahead and.
This
handle-
isn't-
Yeah.
I think
Don't
you
like
guys
it.
should handle it, and then we'll
Copy it.
We'll just do whatever you guys.
Copy paste it. And at the same time, it's not like we're talking about like some type of collectible toy. Like they even do that with like toys, like collectible like figurines. Like I'll go to the store to get my kid like the new Star Wars guy, and there's some like 65-year-old like collector dude, and he just goes in and wraps his arms around all of them and walks out, and it's like, dude, what are you doing with that? Like, stop taking the joy out of like things for kids, you douche. You know, like leave one for the 5-year-old who actually wants to go home and play with it and not sit on it for 20 years so he can sell it for a profit.
Seems fair.
Yeah.
Next question. Which song from the new album was the hardest one to write?
I know that I had.
I don't know.
Lyrically, we did go back and forth on. Let's see.
Honestly, I think the one that was like the weird, like there was a couple that actually you could almost like feel where they were gonna go, but when they weren't, like until they got there, it was kind of like I don't even know if I want to play this for like. I know that Mike, Brad, and myself were in the process of making the music more often than any other combination of people, and it's hard to like want to play the whole band like the song until like you know it's there. And I think like Heavy was one of those songs, and also Halfway Right. Like those two songs like had a vibe,
and
and
Invisible.
and Invisible, yeah.
Yeah,
Like they had a
I
vibe.
did on Invisible in particular. I did a lot of really different. It's basically I call it pre-mixing, like because you know you hear a song and then you remix the song and change it. A DJ will like remix it and change it a lot. Like this is you're doing that, but there isn't a defining first version.
Okay.
So you're just making a lot of different versions to a song that doesn't have an original. That's
Yeah.
what we were doing, and
Okay.
Heavy did that too. Heavy was more like, should we go halftime or double time with it?
But it was like, but it was
Invisible,
also
was
like
a lot of really different versions.
on Heavy. Like I feel like there was like, and Halfway Right, like there were like structural issues to the song. There was like, it was like, I remember like like in my mind I was hearing like the song made sense, and then when we did like the vocals over it and kind of put the pieces together, it was kind of like, oh, it's not quite working the way I felt it was going to work. Like, it's kind of Frankenstein, you know? It's like, oh, it's alive, but, you know, like it's got an arm in its face. Like, it doesn't mean, you know, like that's where that's supposed to go. And so we worked a little extra, put a little extra love into it because we knew that the songs had a lot of potential and they were really cool and they had this really interesting vibe. And we, even with like Halfway Right, like we were like, what do we do? And we ended up actually like coming back in, changing the key. I think we asked Ross to come back in and was like, dude, like, maybe you can do something melodically that we're not thinking of.
Oh, and Halfway Right.
And like he was like, and so he went with the harmony.
I remember
and
what
we,
he.
you know what I mean? And was like, oh yeah, that's the.
This
that's
is
the
getting
thing.
really nerdy. This is
But
getting.
it is
Going
interesting.
deep.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
there was a couple songs where it was like we had to kind of like reevaluate
thing-
like how to approach them to make them feel natural and feel like, you know, not forced or not kind of
Sure.
put on you. You know? Yeah.
Okay. Guys, next question. Where do you see yourselves in 10 years' time? Set the scene.
I think
Physical
for-
therapy.
I hope the band is able to keep making, you know, creatively viable music that we feel as passionately about. I mean, that's the nice thing about coming into this record is that I had a few conversations, one with Phoenix in particular, where I said, you know, tomorrow isn't guaranteed. Like we could, the album could fall apart before we even get there. We could finish it and love it and put it out, and 100%, you know, not really, but theoretically, 100% of people could hate it, and all of these things would be just like, for me, like moments to just, you've got to pivot and do something else. Like you got to just figure it out.
I think it really comes down like if we're having a
well,
good time and having fun doing it, like that's what matters.
Well, yeah. What I was gonna say is like I feel like we go into these processes, and at our best, we go in with an open mind to like where the journey is gonna lead us. Like we don't like force it, and so to like, you know, I hope we can continue to do that.
Okay. Talked about having fun making albums just then.
Yeah.
Where does this rank on the fun scale, this album?
This album ranked for me on the fun scale, like at its most fun,
Right.
and also at its least fun.
Oh. Extremes there.
Yeah, like, well, I mean, because I began the process like in the beginning of making this record, I was not in a happy place, and then, you know, there were some things that happened in my own personal life that were going on in the beginning where I was just like, you know, screw all of this, and it had nothing to do with songs or making music. It really was more like, just like, yeah, like I'm not having fun like doing anything, and so, and then, you know, once kind of working through that stuff, getting to a place where like, okay, I'm actually enjoying like not only like making music with my friends, but I'm also enjoying like taking my kids to school, like stuff.
Ah, Dad.
Yeah, I look at my pets and I go, I don't hate your face. You know what I mean? Like, or I wake up and the sun's shining and I'm like, I'm not thinking, go fuck yourself to the sun. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, like just like normal, like nice things. Like, just enjoying being the mundane stuff as well as like the extraordinary stuff, like being able to be in Lincoln Park.
Sure.
And so, but the songwriting process for me it was really, really fun. Performing the songs in the studio was fun. Working with Emily and working with Andrew was really fun.
Emily and Andrew were two people that they basically recorded and they were co-producing the vocals, which is to say, it's a real like there's a lot of stuff that we have a tendency to get in. Like this is a very granular, like a very like.
We're getting nerdy again.
This is nerdy. It's nerdy. But like when we're writing a song, like there's on one end of the extreme, there's a version where it's like, I've written a song and you put on one microphone and you hit record and you play it and then go, it's done. And then the
There
other,
is?
right? And there's another version. Oh, and by the way,
Who does that?
And we've done that on some things with Rick. Like we had a little bit of that on Minutes to Midnight. We were first introduced to that, where like he kept comparing everything back on one of our songs. Rob had done like a drum take that he had just hit record and like played like 30 minutes of drums, and then he pieced together like his performance into like the song, and he was like, oh, this is my like demo, this is my idea for the song. And then we spent all this time like miking up a beautiful kid in an expensive room with all the best, highest technology,
75 snares,
and he did all these different takes of it and all this stuff, and then we recorded it and it was amazing. It was best, highest production. And then we compared the old demo to the new shiny thing, and you went, the demo's way better. Like, 'cause it was the first thing. It was like that
thing.
Right? So we live in between those two things now. Like, we know to go back to the original thing, and we know to also set, in the case of the vocals, like to set Chester up for his best performance, which is complicated. It's like we write the song, we learn the song, we pitch the song to the right key so that he can sing it and feel like this is the best key to sing it in and the best tempo to sing it in and all those things. And then in the terms of like, you know, then when we're recording it, there are people who specialize in different things. So these two people that he was just talking about, like they specialize in, as you're recording, like this is how nerdy it gets, but also it helps people who listen to the record and go, why would any album take, 18 months to make? Well, when a vocal producer who just specializes in that one little thing is sitting there recording with you, they'll listen and go, you took a breath in between those two words. Could you not do that there, but do it 3 words later here? You sweep up into this note. Can you sweep up or you sing it?
Or only do it like on the 3rd round. Like don't do it every time because it gives it away. It's like when I hear it
so specific.
When I hear it 3 or 4 times in a certain amount of time, it kind of becomes like unspecial. But if you hold off on it and then do it at the last time or do it the 3rd time out of 4, like all of a sudden it's like, oh, I get it.
Emily said to me at one point when we were recording Invisible, she's like, we'd be recording it and on one take she's like, oh, that was cool. You sang that one, you sang it almost like invisible instead of invisible. She's like, I liked that. And we did it together. Like, oh, and I'd sing it again. I go, I like it when it's like halfway, when it's like 50% in between. She's like, yeah, me too. So
but invisible was better than invisible.
That's true.
I swear to God.
That's how nerdy it gets. Really stupid. Like it gets really
not mind blowing. Blow my fucking brains out.
It gets really granular.
So let's go on to a question that takes us away from the band slightly. The question is, which superhero would you like to be?
Superman.
Yeah?
Superman is like okay, and I'll tell you why I say that so passionately.
Yeah, very passionately.
I play this game with my kids all the time. They're like, Daddy, what powers do you have? And I always say, I have all the powers. And they're like, you can't have more than one power. And I said, but my one power is that I have all the powers. That's my one power. I have all of them. And they're just like, and that's kind of Superman. Out of all the superheroes in the DC world, because if we get into Marvel, it gets really crazy. But in DC world, like Superman is the one thing. There's only one thing that can kill him, and that's kryptonite, and it's finite. Like there's not a whole lot of it. It's not like they have a whole mountain full of kryptonite. They have like a spearhead that if you stab him, if you're lucky enough to stab him with it, and it stays inside of him, you might be able to kill him. At the very worst, he just becomes like a normal person. Like
at his worst, he becomes like you and me. Poor Superman.
Poor Superman.
He
just doesn't have any powers. So like, but outside of that, like the dude, as long as the sun is shining, like the closer he gets to it, the more powerful he is. So yeah, Superman's invincible. Like, and that's why I love the whole Batman versus Superman. Like, which would you rather be? Like, of course, Superman, because if Superman's only not destroying Batman out of personal choice. Like, I don't want to end your life, so I'm just gonna like only use enough of my powers to keep you contained. Where like Batman's like, I'm gonna do everything I can to try to destroy you because I don't have any other choice. Like, you're invincible.
Very well thought out.
Thank you. I know. I spend a lot of time in this world.
Mike, do you have a superhero in mind? You don't have to.
Fart man.
Fart man.
He'd want to be Howard Stern.
What was the first album both of you guys bought?
License to Ill.
What
Okay.
was the first
What made you
record
want to
I
pick that up?
The Beastie Boys did.
How old were you? What shop were you in? Had you heard of them before? Or did you just
Yeah,
discover
well, it
them?
was funny because my friend had played me Brass Monkey,
Mm-hmm.
and I didn't particularly love Brass Monkey, and I was like, oh, he was like, let's check this out. I was like, oh, that's cool, and he was so passionate about it. He's like, no, like, here, check this out, like, and he played me Paul Revere, and I was like, whoa, what's that? And he's like, I know, right? You know, like we were little kids. Like
That's the one.
Yeah,
That's with the reversed 808.
Yeah,
That
yeah.
shit was dope.
Yeah.
Okay, so I don't remember the first record I bought, but that record is the sickest record. I do remember because I wasn't really allowed to buy music for a long time because like my parents, they weren't strict about it. It just was like, it wasn't even on my menu for a long time. Like I wasn't the kid who was like thinking about it, but then once I did, I knew I couldn't just go to the record store and buy it. So I remember asking, I think it was like my 11th birthday or 12th birthday or something. I asked for very specific records. I wanted ABC, How to Be a Zillionaire. I wanted Depeche Mode. I think Music for the Masses was out around that time. And I wanted The Cure. And I think The Cure, it was either Lullabies or what was ever right before then. It must have been before Lullabies. So it was right before Lullabies. And so my grandparents were tasked with the go get these records, and they, I think, forgot the list or lost it or like forgot to write it down, and they went to the store and they were just like, "We're getting records for our grandson. Like, what should we get?" And I did get ABC.
No, that's good.
So that was cool. If for anyone who doesn't know who, it's not Another Bad Creation. This is the Ocean Blue New Romantic ABC. Okay, and then I loved the Zillionaire song because it had like the cool like billion dollar billion. And I was like, oh, what are they doing there? And tell me how to be. I love that shit. I love that. And then
But what were the other things
And then I got
Yeah.
Dire Straits and
Airball.
Heart.
Amazing artists,
Heart,
but
brilliant.
not what you wanted
No,
by a
different
long
vibe.
by
And
a
I was
mile.
like-
Depeche Mode to like
Okay,
Heart.
I went now, mind you, this is a happy accident because, and I'll say, in reality, like I was super disappointed because I was like, I didn't know, like Dire Straits was like something that my like friend's dad and like his like an uncle listened to, and they always had like mustaches and like I just couldn't relate to them. Like I was like, I don't get it, like. And Heart, I liked Barracuda and that kind of stuff, but I still was like, I didn't want the girl band. I didn't want the band with the girls in it. I wanted the band with the dudes in it, right? And like,
Who kind of sang like girls.
yeah, like I wanted I wanted the guys who wore the makeup, not the girls who dressed like guys. Okay, like that. They got it backwards. Like, and so like, but because they were the only records I had, I ended up listening to them and like Heart, like singing those songs. That was actually some of my first performances. Were like to my parents, like, okay, I'd write down the lyrics, and I'd walk in and be like,
great.
can you guys like how does my voice sound? And I'd sing it, right? And then they'd look at me like, oh, that's so cute, you know. But I was singing Heart songs, and then like I actually grew to appreciate like how great the guitar work on the Dire Straits records were. So yeah.
Fantastic. We're going to have to wind up now, but one last question that you can answer in one word or two words. What is your favourite band right now?
Watsky. He's not even a band.
Artiste.
He's a one man band. God, my favorite right now.
3 months ago it was 21
I don't-
Pilots. Now it's Watsky.
Okay.
I don't have a favorite.
No, you can't choose. They're all good.
I don't have a
Excellent.
favorite. My favorite artist right now, only because he's teasing us with new music and he hasn't released the album yet, is Kendrick Lamar.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you very much for joining us.
Humble's a dope
thank
video,
you
by
for
the
joining
way.
us.
Good
Yeah.
job.
Oh, it's
Kendrick.
really good, isn't it?
Oh my god.
So
So
good.
good.
Come on,
Beautiful.
Kendrick, stop setting the bar so high.
Yeah, dude.
Sheesh. How are any of us ever going to compete with that? Not fair.
You gotta get humble, dude. Sit down.
Sit down.
You're
Bitch,
an
be humble.
Great. Well, thank you very much again, and good afternoon, everyone.
License to Ill.
What
Okay.
was the first
What made you
record
want to pick that up?
The Beastie Boys did.
How old are you? What?
The Beastie Boys did.
How old are you? What shop were you in?